will be glorified. And like in the beginning on the third day, you can look down, you can affirm it, sustain it, and declare that indeed it is good. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Honorable Adrian Ford, Minister of Environment and National Beautification, Chairman of the Board of the National Conservation Commission, Senator Rudy Grant, and board members present, General Manager Acting Ryan Alves, celebrated stalwarts, parish ambassadors, to all of you who are here this morning as you celebrate agriculture, we celebrate Arbor, we celebrate Arbor Fest. To all of you, a very pleasant good morning. I'm Antoine Williams. Arbor Day, translated from the Latin origin of the word arbor, is usually a tree day, a day set aside to celebrate the planting, upkeep, and preservation of trees. And so this morning, as we celebrate and we officially recognize Arbor Day, and I would say the week of celebrations, we focus not only on that particular aspect, but we also focus on those who have toiled in the field, as it were, to ensure that what we celebrate here is known to all Barbadians. And so this morning, it is certainly a pleasure to welcome you and to welcome you in a way that says Arbor Day is good and all Barbadians must join us. And so this morning now, as we start our morning ceremony, I invite the General Manager Acting of the National Conservation Commission to offer the welcome remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Honorable Minister Adrian Ford, Minister of Environment and National Beautification. And good morning also to Senator Rudy Grant, Chairman of the National Conservation Commission. Specially invited guests, stalwarts, colleagues, I welcome you. On this auspicious occasion, I'm humbled by the celebration of trees and the circle of life. After the passage of Hurricane Jeanette in 1955, this area, as well as all the other spaces in Barbados, were essentially a wasteland. Trees were destroyed, toppled, uprooted, blown away. And each day and every day, we work diligently to bring new life to open spaces such as this and all across Barbados. When we consider a labor of love, there is none greater than that of planting a seed, watching it grow, develop into a tree, and from which we can get nourishment, we get comfort, we get life. This epitomizes our focus and our goals to create, develop, and maintain the beauty and greenery of this beautiful Barbados. On this note, I welcome you to this, our Eden, the National Botanical Gardens, on the 24th National Arbor Day celebration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. JLB, I would suggest that you stay closer. Will certainly be your singular opportunity to lose weight. Permit me to just give you some information as it relates to the Arbor Day activities. Now, we know that in the context of the COVID protocols, we've had to shift all of the activities, other than this one, to a virtual experience. And perhaps it allows for the NCC to engage a wider audience and certainly to excite a broad demographic, as it were. And so, in addition to this morning's ceremony, there's also the Arbor Virtual Tour, a tour which has created a digital ArborFest experience by allowing users to move through and look around a three-dimensional virtual space. The location is the NCC grounds, and as I said, it offers an historical, educational, product descriptions and prices, and of course links to images, videos, and graphics. And then there's the Arbor Virtual Scavenger Hunt, which is kind of similar to the Arbor Tour. That too also contains the same elements, and the locations are the NCC grounds and Fardy Hill. We've had some quizzes throughout the 2 weeks, so to speak, and February response have been enjoyed where those quizzes are concerned. In an attempt to gather the excitement of our young people, there's been a slideshow and the virtual show and tell. And the virtual show and tell allows children between the ages of 10 to 16 to join virtually with a picture of their favorite tree, share their picture, and tell us why trees are important to them and the benefit and experiences of their favorite tree or being a part of that experience. And then, of course, there's also the BIM Going Green, and that is an opportunity to engage our Paris ambassadors across the island and exciting them and inviting them to plant trees in their various communities. The plant sale is ongoing over at the garden shop, and of course, all and sundry are invited to go over there and avail themselves to the plants, selected plants, I dare say, and also to perhaps win a prize or two in celebration of the 24th anniversary of Arbor Day. I dare not forget the virtual tree planting competition. That is open to all. So all of us in this space can actually participate. Well, not really all of us, but most of us can participate in the virtual tree planting competition. It is simple. All you have to do is upload photos, not a photo, but photos of your tree planting process to www.planting.org. So let it be as many trees as you possibly can as far as the planting is concerned. They will be verified and validated, and we will then have a winner. If you've not heard about it as yet, I can tell you now that that individual who submits the most photos of the trees planted will be in a position to win $7,000. And this morning on VOB, I did a 5-minute stint, and I was telling Kashi, $7,000 in this day and age is not a little trala, ain't a few coppers, ain't even a little berry. $7,000 is $7,000. So you're going to get $7,000, a challenge trophy, and a national award. The key, however, is not just to plant the trees, but also to engage in the mechanisms attached to it, to make sure that you maintain that particular activity. The second prize will be $2,000, and the third prize, $1,000. So go and plant, and let's beautify this island, Barbados. The National Conservation Commission is certainly on a good level as it promotes conservation, environment, and all that is connected. And all this is done not just with the management and team, but also the higher level, let's call it the board. The board directing the policies and, of course, channeling the focus. So it's my pleasure now to invite the chairman of the National Conservation Commission, the Honorable Senator Rudy Grant, to offer his message.
Good morning to everyone, first of all. You see that I perspire quite a bit, so the first thing I'll do is just wipe away that perspiration. But I'll also take this opportunity to ask the Master of Ceremonies if I qualify to participate to be able to get that $7,000, because that $7,000 is a lot of money, and I'm sure we all could do with that. Once again, good morning. The Honorable Adrian Ford, Minister of the Environment and National Beautification, Deputy Chairman of the Board of NCC and Directors, General Manager, specially invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Minister, first of all, I'm going to apologize for getting here a little late. This morning, I was actually in a different kind of attire, but I felt that it was appropriate for me to come here in my green shirt. So I rushed home to make sure that I had a proper change and come to be in this environment. And what a beautiful and wonderful environment this is on this Arbor Day. And I think the NCC and the Ministry of Environment and National Beautification should be extremely proud of what has been done in this botanical gardens and what is planned for the future. Of course, when you talk about planting a tree, as the general manager would have communicated, it is really about life. Very often we don't think of the fact that trees help us in our environment. Very often we don't recognize the importance of having trees. And this morning, this exercise and the recognition of Arbor Day is extremely important because it's really about the preservation and the sustainability of life. And that is critical and important to us. Of course, there's also the need to reflect on our environment and to recognize the significant role that all of us in Barbados have to play in the preservation of our environment. And therefore, this morning, I want to take this opportunity to encourage Barbadians to take care of your environment. Today, yes, we are asking persons to participate and to come and to plant a tree and to participate in the different Arbor Day activities as communicated by the Master of Ceremonies. But more important than that must be the recognition that this is not simply an activity for today, but it must become part of our existence and part of our way of life in the manner in which we treat to our environment. I'm sure the minister will speak to a number of things that we are doing at the NCC, and I know that minister has a passion for plants, different types of plants, and I will not in any way try, minister, to pronounce some of the names of plants that you call. But I think that we have to recognize that in terms of the policy guidance, there's that passion and strong connection and emotion that is coming from our minister and the Ministry of Environment in driving what we are doing at the NCC. So this morning, while on behalf of the board, I acknowledge the significance of Arbor Day, and I acknowledge the significance of what we are doing in terms of the activities. I also want to reinforce the need for us to continually pay attention to our environment and to ensure that all of us, in our own way, do our part. You know, there was a time when Barbadians ensured that within their space was beautified. And I want to take this opportunity to encourage Barbadians to continue in that vein and to embrace functioning and operating in that manner so that we have a beautiful, beautiful Barbados. Of course, you know that we speak of pride and industry, and we have to take pride in what we do, and we have to take care of our environment. So today, on Arbor Day, it is extremely pleasurable and an honor for me to be here and to participate in these activities. And on behalf of the board of the NCC, to say how extremely proud we are of the work that is being undertaken by the NCC and the inspiration and the guidance coming to us from the Ministry of the Environment and National Beautification, led by our Minister, the Honorable Adrian Ford. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairman. We will set the tone now as we recognize the remarks offered by the Honorable Minister of Environment, Honorable Adrian Ford. And our chairman spoke about his passion. Now, right across Barbados, we certainly would have heard about the Clean and Green program. That is the brainchild of Minister Ford, and it brings a sense of passion, it brings a sense of belonging, and certainly community spirit. So I take great pleasure now in welcoming Minister Adrian Ford, Minister of Environment and National Beautification, to offer feature remarks.
Pleasant good morning to one and all. Chairman, General Manager, Pastor, distinguished guests all. I heard the chairman spoke earlier and he said that he wanted to enter the competition to get the $7,000. But I can give 7,000 reasons why the minister should enter the competition as well. But I first want to say to the entire country and those directly in earshot that when we came up with the maxim, trees save lives, that it is just more than a typical maxim or axiom that we would associate ourselves with. It is a way of life. And it must be the new way of life in order for this country to save the unborn child, the next generation to come. And from a policy perspective, it does not only signify our commitment to the United Nations General Assembly's call to have all the sustainable development goals achieved by 2030. It does not only speak to the fact that life on land and our commitment to the sustainable development goals as it relates to clean air, again, the responsibilities of trees, clean water, again, we can't have clean water unless there are trees being responsible for taking the harmful nitrates and phosphates from the soil and ensuring that we have that clean water. The ability to have fresh air as part of our sustainable development goal. almost all of the goals are achieved and can only be achieved if trees are involved. That is the reality of it. That is the plain reality of what we are faced. So when we speak about trees saving lives, we are speaking about a new way of life in Barbados. And I'm happy today to be representing a ministry that is leading the charge as it relates to our Arbor there and the trust of activities that we are having. And when the general manager came to me as minister and said he wants to do something special, he wants to encapsulate the imagination of every single Barbadian. He wants to ensure by sweat expenditure that we create a green ambience and that there is a green economic post-COVID recovery. When I sat as president of Latin America and the Caribbean, and I made the Bridgetown Declaration, which became part of that, of the whole Latin America and the Caribbean, and the agreement going forward, we said as part of the Bridgetown Declaration that there must be a green economic post-COVID recovery, on a green recovery full stop, that there must be a new drive, that there must be an unequivocal sinew being expanded as it relates to the planting of trees and greening this country. And the importance of trees are multifaceted. I spoke earlier about their ability to clean the air. I spoke about their ability to ensure clean water. But also, with another important dimension is the ability to conserve our biodiversity, which is being threatened as I speak. There has been a decade loss, not only of our ecosystems, but our biodiversity. And Carol is right here, and she can tell us about the importance of having the marine flora on the reefs for the turtles, on the beaches, the importance of having that flora so that we have nesting opportunities for our turtles. Again, our biodiversity. The chairman spoke earlier about my desire, and I have already given instructions from a policy perspective to have those trees to help infuse our biodiversity. I said before, prior to COVID, as we know it, the existential threat was global warming and climate change. We often talk about the ability for trees to sequester that harmful carbon dioxide. It is a known fact that Barbados produces about 2 million tons a year. If we plant the million trees that we intend to over the next couple of years, that is 48 million pounds of carbon dioxide. It may be a small amount based on the fact that the world produces about 50 billion tons a year or so. But little Barbados, as a leader in the small island developing state, must be able to do its part. And we said in our national determined contribution that by 2030-35, we will reduce our carbon emissions, our footprint, our carbon dioxide level, and our greenhouse gases about 93.3% or so, which means that is less than 100,000 tons of carbon dioxide being produced a year. We know that we get some emissions in the industries, and we are working with the photovoltaic drive in the Ministry of Energy. We know that we have some in the agriculture industry with the ruminants, about 3% or so of the carbon dioxide being produced. We know that there are some still being used in, again, the agriculture industry with the pesticides. We are always concerned about our POPs, which is the persistent organic pollutants. Those things will always be there, but we are going full steam ahead to reduce. And we know that the Ministry of Energy is doing a lot of activities in terms of removing the fossil fuel and the fossil fuel-driven industry to have a more green energy or photovoltaic trust. That is what we are doing collectively as a government to say to the international community that by 2035, at most, we are going to reduce our emissions and our carbon dioxide and our greenhouse gas about 90-something%. That's what we said. And that, I think, deserve a round of applause for a small island developing state. Getting back to those things that I spoke about that will preserve our biodiversity. Prior to COVID and the 2 million or so persons that would have died last year, the one threat that took more lives was the mosquito threat. Mosquito-borne illnesses around the world, whether it's dengue, whether it's Zika, elephantitis, you name it. It has always been a perennial problem. And that mosquito deaths around the world is about 2 million or so. And that is documented. But one of the things that we can start doing, as I said already, to get natural ways to preserve our environment is to start to get those trees that would help to take care of the threats of the mosquitoes. We may be spraying with the fumigants from the Ministry of Health, but it is known, it is scientifically known, it is researched that those fumigants and those sprays only kill the adult mosquitoes. But you know what remains? The eggs. The eggs remain and can hatch in ideal conditions 10 years down the line. That is why the threat is always there. And that is why I have always been speaking and will continue to speak about our biodiversity, about our lizard population. And the only way those lizards can live and survive is if we have trees, because that is the habitat for them. I may call the big word now the Philodactylus pulchre, but it's really the leaf-toed gecko, that lizard that is endemic to Barbados. That lizard that is endemic. When I say endemic, it is found on this land and this land alone. But their ability to eat the eggs, the mosquito eggs from the leaves of the tree, that ability can never be underestimated in the fight against the mosquito-borne illnesses. It is as serious as any other conversation we will be having with this country. And that is why we started in around early 2000 to preserve and rehabilitate those lizards. At Paragon, we have about 6,000 now. The cousin to those lizards, the iguana, they sell in St. Lucia about $1,500. I am saying, Rudy, who is involved in tourism exercise, that this could be a new touristic product, a new touristic drive. So along with conserving our biodiversity, because they not only eat the eggs from the mosquito eggs on the trees, but they help to regurgitate the soil. They help to eat small insects that are responsible for keeping our ecosystems. That and what we call the old frog or the pollywog as we know it. The toads, they have an important function in removing mosquito larvae from water settlements. When last we seen them around Barbados? What I'm saying is that there needs to be a drive, an unequivocal drive to preserve our biodiversity, whether it is the flora, which are the trees, or the fauna, which basically speak to the animals. It is important. And when I say to the chairman and the general manager that I need to have pyrethrin seeds in Barbados so we can plant the pyrethrin trees around this country and give every single Barbadian one as part of our million tree drive, that will help to get rid of a lot of mosquitoes in Barbados, because when the mosquitoes suck on the flowers, within a couple of hours they die, because it's the same pyrethroid that we used to treat as a fumigant years ago is producing the flowers. An easy way to get rid of our mosquitoes. Along with that, I said already that we, just like how we have this nice zoyster, and sometimes you call it the savanna grass on our lawns, citronella grass. Citronella grass, we have started to look around to get those seeds in Barbados so we can have citronella lawns. Imagine we having a citronella lawn where the citronella being produced from the grass serves as a natural mosquito repellent. So you don't have to spray the insecticides around your homes that are causing all the destruction to the ozone layer. You're having a natural way to deal with these problems. And I call them the existential threats because that's what they are to me, along with global warming and climate change. So the conversation is simple. Trees save lives in a lot of ways. They enhance our biodiversity. They're responsible for fighting the one threat that was on the lips of every Barbadian prior to COVID-19, climate change. We know, we understand the importance of having that green carbon sink because of the ability of trees to sequester the harmful carbon dioxide as a greenhouse gas, which is the leading greenhouse gas in the world. We understand the blue carbon sink, and the Minister of Maritime Affairs will tell me, don't ever forget it. About 25 to 30% of the carbon dioxide sequestered in the world is done by the marine flora, the phytoplankton and all those trees in the marine environment. They are responsible for removing that harmful carbon dioxide. So we have about 50% residual carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that can cause unnecessary harm. That is why it is more important to plant trees around in this entire country. Because the more trees we plant, we can increase our green carbon sink from about 25%. Ideally, I would like it to about 50 or 60%, because it means that there is less free residual carbon dioxide in the atmosphere to cause harm, to be able to infuse those hurricanes, to cause all those disasters and those natural disasters, the freak storms that we are having, and all those freak events that are imminent now. The green carbon sink and the importance of the green carbon sink must never be underestimated in our fight against the vagaries of climate change and natural disasters. We are going to preserve our environment. We are going to plant trees for our food security. I see the chief agriculture officer in the back sitting down. And she would understand and ditto everything I say about the preservation of our ecosystem. We have said, as a small island developing state, that we recommit to the United Nations General Assembly call to have all our sustainable development goals met. In this ministry, we are going to meet all that are related to the green environment, all. We've also said that we are going to walk hand in glove with the United Nations in their call for a decade of ecosystem restoration. The restoration that relates to our biodiversity loss, our soil degradation, our deforestation, all those things we are going to correct, because that is what the planting of trees does. So, I just want to say today that I'm happy to be here. I want Barbadians to partake in the competition. I want you to understand that there is going to be a paradigm in the way how we treat the trees. Because at the end of the day, as I said before, and I want Maria and all the young active players, because these young people, I'm glad to see them here today, and I want us to give them a round of applause. When Maria told Orlando Bloom that she saw someone throwing garbage outside and it's going to destroy her ecosystem, the trees and all of the fauna and the animals and the insects and things that live in those environments that you are destroying, and then you are destroying the water, natural water courses as well. When she said that, I went back to the book of Isaiah, a little child shall lead them. These are the active players. This is the voice for our country, and this is the future that we need to protect. And I'm glad to see today that there are an active role and there are active participants in our whole maxim and the axiom of trees saving lives. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. Do enjoy all the virtual activities that we are having. And I want you to go with one thing in your head: trees save lives. Thanks. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Minister, for taking us on that journey and certainly giving us that educational thrust. As we, on the island Barbados, we continue to be a champion as it relates to sustainable development. Thank you so much. Senator Grant, I join with you as I listened to the minister and I tried quietly to pronounce the word. Now, you know that people would say, I know about big words. But somehow that big word always escapes me. Philodactus. So far, so good, I think. As we continue, we will now celebrate the efforts and stewardship of those who have contributed so much to Arbor Day and all that it's all about. And so in the planning of this event and celebration, it was seen necessary to celebrate and highlight 8 individuals whom are regarded as stalwarts. And it is now at this point in time that we will present them with a special token of appreciation, and the token in the form of a plaque that was designed by Marlon Waterman with contributions by the Barbados Lumber Company. I nearly said the Barbados Labor. Rudy? It just rolls off my tongue. The Barbados Lumber Company as a contributor, and we also would want to give thanks to Carter's and Company, and I'll explain that as we move along. So now, Minister, I invite you to kindly facilitate the presentation of the plaques. Our first awardee is a retired agricultural officer with the Ministry of Agriculture, and he has been involved with the Barbados 4-H movement since its inception in 1963. He has served in several leadership roles, creating an awareness of the value of agriculture to food security and the promotion of programs to enhance the environment. Over the years, he served on the National Arbor Day Committee, participating with NCC and related agencies in advancing the benefits of trees to the sustaining of a healthy environment. Ladies and gentlemen, we recognize Hamilton Blackman. Thank you very much. Okay. Our next awardee is the manager of Shalana's Wines. He first started his business making wines with the jamun fruit, and he then incorporated golden apples, mango, breadfruit, and soursop. As his business grew, so did his selection of fruits. And several years ago, he joined the National Arbor Day family by presenting his wines for display and sale, and has been here since then crafting his art. He lends support willingly to the initiative of National Arbor Day and the promotion of the use of the products and byproducts of trees for economic sustainability. He is all over the place. Any exhibition, he's present, and his products are thoroughly enjoyed by all. Let's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kenrick Boucher of Shalana's Wines. Our next awardee is known as Mr. Horticulture. Raised on a farm in Barbados and studied agricultural science at UWI. He's perhaps best known in Barbados for his role in the popular gardening program Green Fingers, the Art of Good Gardening. And he, together with Mr. Mervyn Marshall, has already produced 3 series of the program. Completely immersed in the horticultural life of Barbados, he is a member of many horticultural societies. He judges horticultural competitions and represents UWI on the National Agricultural Commission which advises the Ministry of Agriculture. He's been a member of the National Arbor Day family since its re-establishment and has always readily and willingly lent his assistance in whatever capacity he's been called to serve. And so this morning we recognize the efforts of Mr. Jeff Chandler, Mr. Horticulture. Thank you very much. Our next awardee is the Eco Representative in Barbados. She holds a BSc First Class Honors degree in Agriculture, Trinidad and UWI, Trinidad and Tobago, as well as certification as a trainer in HACCP, Food Service Safety, and world-class benchmarking for SMEs. She brings to her work a high level of commitment and passion, a positive and results-oriented approach, and a focus on teamwork and a strong service orientation. She lent her service to the National Conservation Commission during the initial planning stages of the re-establishment of National Arbor Day in 1997. She has made a valuable contribution to the initiative and has given of her wealth of talents to assist in the development of agro and environmental programs and projects in Barbados. Let's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and let's celebrate Ina Harvey. Thank you very much. Thank you, Minister. And I now invite Senator Rudy Grant, Chairman of the NCC, to facilitate the next set of awards. Our next awardee has served in the public service for 39 years, 20 of which has been spent at the Soil Conservation Unit, where he developed a very strong and lasting relationship with trees. And this relationship involved both the propagating and nurturing a very wide variety of trees. He played a very active role on the Arbor Day Committee from its inception in 1997. Not only was the committee guaranteed a wide variety of trees from the Soil Conservation Unit every September, but also this awardee was always very eager to share his technical and scientific knowledge on trees with both the committee and the Barbadian public. The National Arbor Day Committee, the Ministry of Environment and National Beautification, and the country as a whole have all benefited significantly from his training. And we do believe that he will continue to serve in whatever capacity he's called upon to serve and to perform. Let's welcome and let's acknowledge Mr. Nigel Jones. Our next awardee is a heraldic artist and has crafted a wide variety of national emblems and designs since 1977. And in 1997, she was consulted with respect to creating a logo that signified National Arbor Day. And her artwork can be seen around us today as we celebrate this day for planting trees. She has utilized the Tree of Life motif as a central theme in the logo. The Barbados National Heraldic Achievement, the coat of arms, is displayed as an iconic or bearded fig tree emblem, and her inspiration is based upon the earliest notary seal. We recognize the work of Anne Rudder, and we celebrate and award you. Our next award is the holder of a degree in economics and management. And he also holds postgraduate degrees in project management and environmental management and an associate degree in agricultural management. He's currently the acting officer in charge of the Soil Conservation Unit, where he has worked for the past 32 years in various positions. Over the past 24 years, he has played an integral role in the National Arbor Day. And in his role as the officer in charge of agronomy at the Soil Conservation Unit, he has been instrumental in ensuring that trees were made available for distribution. My apologies. Let's welcome, let's applaud, let's celebrate Mr. Kenny Ward. And Kenny's not here, so Nigel will receive the award on his behalf. A final awardee is the operations manager at Earth Mother Botanicals Limited, and where she fulfills several functions, including the herbalist assistant, production manager, management of production and processing, and the garden administrator. She's one of the two directors at the company, the other director being Amy LeMay. And she also worked as a graphic designer at Pen and Portal Designs, Barbados, and as an artist at Earthlight Mountain Retreat in the USA. This individual and Earth Mother Botanicals, that entity, one of the first persons who eagerly joined the National Arbor Day family at its first Arbor Expo. And she's always readily given of her support and the support of her company to further educate the Barbadian populace and to promote the use of and benefits of trees and the byproducts of trees. Let's welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Sandra Weeks. Thank you very much. Thank you, Senator Grant. And to all of the awardees, we offer you a big applause. Thank you so much for all the work that you have offered. Before I invite the Deputy General Manager to offer the vote of thanks, I want to remind you of the competition and also to remind you that you need to upload your photos to replanting.org. Very important to note that. I know I don't have to remind you of the $7,000. To end our celebration, we thought it was necessary to plant trees. And to bring that to even greater importance, to invite persons who have been seen as contributors to this entire experience. And so this morning, 24 trees will be planted, and the persons are Senator Rudy Grant, Honorable Minister Ford, and General Manager Acting. We also have Mr. Blackman, Ina Harvey, Jeff Chandler, Mr. Nigel Jones, and rather Kenny Wards. You know, those are the stalwarts. Sandra Weeks also. And we thought it was necessary to include our young people, because the minister spoke about it in his message, the importance of involving young people at this level. And so we recognize the voice and the passion of Maria Marshall and also Noah Jordan. And so they too have been invited to plant trees this morning. Reverend Kevin Hunt, he has also been invited. The Chief Agricultural Officer, because we know that there's a nexus as we speak about environment and agriculture. So we've invited Keely Holder, the Chief Agricultural Officer, Mr. Brian Hurley, and then it is necessary to also involve the residents of the area. And so Ms. Shirlene Gill, as well as Mr. Arthur, residents, they were invited. And the parish ambassadors, they play an integral role as far as community spirit is concerned, and they were also invited. So following the vote of thanks, the planting of the trees will take place, you'll be directed to that area. When you go there, all the forks that are there, they are placed in the respective areas and they are named or titled, so you will just be led to your particular area. But we will direct you as far as the process is concerned. And we want to certainly thank Carter's and Company for the gift voucher and the contribution of the garden forks. And so we express appreciation to all involved, and I invite now the Deputy General Manager, Carrie Ann Jessamy, to offer the vote of thanks.
Hi, good morning all. So protocol has already been established, so there's no need for me to establish protocol. But I deem it a great privilege to have been asked to extend the vote of thanks at this special ceremony, that of Arbor Day, September 22nd. So I would not have known about Hurricane Jeanette, but some of you here would have known, and some of you would have remembered it being a disaster. And we have turned a day that people would have looked back and say it was a horrible day to a day where we are saying trees save life, and we have turned it into a life-saving day. So with that being said, I want to extend thanks to our minister, the Minister of Environment. We heard him speak today, and we heard the passion in his voice alone. We know we interact with him daily, and we know his passion for the environment. And like they said, his brainchild, Clean and Green Project, we encounter it weekly, and that they're not taken away from Arbor, but that ties in beautifully to Arbor Day because we plant trees around the communities, all 30 constituencies in Barbados. I want to express thanks to our chairman of the board, Senator Rudy Grant, for being here today with us to celebrate Arbor Day, and also the members of the board. From his message, he wants to take part in getting the 7,000. But with that being said, we have to acknowledge what he also said about trees being an integral part in Barbados and in the community where persons acknowledge one time the beautiful aspects around their home, planting trees and having gardens, etc. So with that, thank you. I want to say thanks to Ms. Keely Holder, the Chief Agriculture Officer, and also extend thanks to the Soil Conservation Unit because they have played a part in Arbor Day and NCC in the distribution of fruit trees. So we want to express thanks. I want to thank Reverend Kevin Hunt for his praise today. Like he said, on the third day, the trees were planted, and it was good. So let us continue with that, planting trees and making Barbados beautiful, and letting everything be good. I want to extend thanks also to the Government Information Service and members of the media for getting our message across. Tree planting is a month-long celebration. It's not only one day. We have lots of activities to go on, so we have the media present, and we want to say thank you to those. Don't let's forget our stalwarts, all 8 of them. One is missing today, but we want to acknowledge Mr. Hamilton Blackman, Mr. Kenrick Boucher, Mr. Jeff Chandler, Mistress Ina Harvey, Mr. Nigel Jones, Miss Ann Rudder, Mr. Kenny Ward, who isn't here, and Miss Sandra Weeks. We also need to say a special thanks to the sponsors, Carter's Company for the contributions given, especially Mr. Brian Hurley and Mr. Victor Taylor from the Barbados Lumber Company for assisting with the presentation today of the from the presentation today for the stalwarts. As it was stated, the youth play an integral part, and I know everybody heard the message from Miss Maria Marshall. So with that being said, we want to thank the students, Maria Marshall and Mr. Noel Jordan, and their parents for their contribution here today. We want to thank the parish ambassadors, St. Michael Parish ambassadors. We want to thank all the parish ambassadors, but we have the parish ambassadors here from St. Michael, and we want to extend thanks for taking the time out to celebrate with us and planting trees today. Special thanks to our invited guests. I know with the vote of thanks, I don't want to leave out anyone, but for those who I have left out, I want to say thank you. Yeah, we're going to get to NCC now. I want to extend thanks to the Arbor Day Committee. Without them, it wouldn't have been possible. We have to thank our general manager, Mr. Ryan Alves, and we have to thank our nursery staff for sure. We also need to extend thanks to the National Tree Planting Initiative. I know you have all heard of the 1,000,000 trees that we anticipate to plant in 3 years' time. So we need to thank those to get the job done within the 3-year span. So thank you. Special mention to all of our MPs and our members of the Senate. Today, we have distributed trees to every single MP and most of the members of the Senate. They're going to be planting trees today, tomorrow, Arbor Day, and throughout the week. So we want to thank them for taking part. They're not here today, but we want to extend thanks to them for taking part. Oh, as the minister said, they're not taking part in the competition. Okay, so I want to say thank you now to our nursery staff, the NCC nursery staff, and definitely not forgetting Mr. Carlos Jilts, our go-to person. He made sure everyone received their trees, even working overtime. I can't leave without saying special thanks to the Building and Works Department, the administrative staff, Transport Department, the Ranger Service, and to Nigel Jones, the Botanical Gardens, for assisting and for having us here today. Lastly, I want to extend many thanks to those who would have extended a helping hand, a word of advice, even a smile, a word of encouragement. All those who in some way played an integral part to having this Arbor Day celebration be a success and Arbor in itself. So with that being said, thank you all.
Thank you very much, Carrie Ann. We will now engage in the activity of the planting of the trees, and Mr. Ricardo Marshall will direct the process. I will invite now Minister Ford, Chairman and Acting General Manager, to the area where there will be, yes, Mr. Marshall, he will direct you accordingly. Now, the 8 stalwarts, you too will be participating, and you would note that there are forts there with your names, and those forts are yours to take away. Yeah, you get that special treatment. All right? And then we will have the additional names, as I made mention. So you may want very well to yes, you can go over. Yes, members of the media, I'm sure you would want to capture that moment. And following the completion of the planting of the trees, I invite you over to the refreshment area so that you can refresh yourselves accordingly. Thank you so much. All right, thank you very much, Minister. And I invite Chairman of the Board to plant his tree. Oh, Rudy, you're calling for support? The next individual will be the general manager acting, and then I'm going to ask the stalwarts to line yourselves up against the forts that are placed in the respective holes, and we will then focus on your activity. Yeah. Now, this tree is the soursop, and yeah, once Nigel is there, you don't have to worry. While we're here in the space, I would certainly want to encourage you, if this is the first time you are visiting the Botanical Gardens, I would want it not to be your last. I know that the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, they have actually produced a series on the Botanical Gardens. It is set to be aired this coming Monday or this Sunday, and I want for you to certainly, enjoy that. And then you'll get a chance to hear more of the history of the area and all the facets and features of the National Botanical Gardens. All right, so the general manager, Mr. Alves, he would now plant his tree. And then we will go to our stalwarts and then the other invited guests. Of course. Ryan, they're saying that you should not need any help. All right, and for those of you who've been asking and wondering, this is the golden apple tree. Thank you very much, Minister Ford, Chairman, and Mr. Alves. The stalwarts, we now invite you. Let's start here. Oh, where are we starting? We start from over here. All right. All right. We now invite Mr. Blackman. Remember, stalwarts, the forks are yours. Let that be an added encouragement. Sorry. Nigeria, what type of tree is this? Huh? A pomerac? A pomerac? All right, this tree that is being planted by Mr. Blackman is a pomerac. And I just started to give me a description of it. Thank you very much, Mr. Blackman. Let's go over here to Ina. this, Nigel? All right. Ina is planting a guava tree. I was going to suggest as the plant, she break out in a song. She has a lovely voice, for those of you who do not know. You would note that this is a process. I would also want to invite you to, as you go to weplanting.org to gain information on the competition, you will also gain some information on the planting of trees, how to plant, the process. It's very informational, and yes, quite a lot can be learned as you go on to weplanting.org. Okay, Anne, we're coming next to you. Anne Rudder. Don't worry, we're coming soon. All right? Okay. Yeah. Remember, WePlanting is WePlanting is WePlantin. No G. Thank you, Michael. Nigel, what kind of tree is this? And I can get closer because the volume is, I'm losing volume. All right. So Nigel, you are next to plant, not to assist. Ricky, what kind of plant is that? What kind of tree? Huh? All right. Nigel is planting the Suriname cherry. Very much, Nigel, assisting Anne. And Nigel is now planting his tree. That's the Suriname cherry. And after Nigel plants his, we will turn our attention to Mr. Agriculture. All right, thank you, Nigel. We will now witness the planting of the tree by Mr. Agriculture, Mr. Jeff Chandler. Sandra? All right, Jeff would have planted the guava tree. So now Sandra Weeks will plant her tree. And she's planting a West Indian cherry. So after Sandra completes the planting of her tree, Mr. Solana Wines, the one and only. Boucher, you finish? Oh man, Boucher. You're just gonna wait, could you? All right, so I'm going to invite Maria and Noah. They will be planting their trees. Sandra completes her planting, and that's because was so and plant his. Okay. Thank you very much, Sandra. I know the little ones, Maria came well prepared. All right, so we have now the planting of the trees, a double effort, but Maria, Marshall, and Noah. Okay, the students are, the names Marshall and Noah Jordan. We'll now invite Reverend Hunt. If you can come into the space, please. Reverend Hunt as well. Holder and Mr. Brian Hurley. All right, Reverend Hunt had to leave us to attend to another engagement, so it means that Keeley, Mr. Marshall will direct you to where you're planting, as well as Mr. Brian Hurley. Is he present? And then the parish ambassador, St. Michael Parish Ambassador, you can line up, as well as Shirlene Gill. Is she present? Is Shirlene Gill? And the other resident, Mr. Arthur. Just some information to share. And as we plant trees, of course, we want to recognize the benefits of such, but we also want to recognize and perhaps offer a special word of a prayer and attention to this. The largest tree, as a matter of fact, I was told that it is as large as the Statue of Liberty. It's actually poised form of damage. They're trying to restore it. You can do your Googling and certainly gather information where that is concerned. So while we plant, we also must bear in mind that there are trees around the world that are being affected by some form or fashion, and we reach out and trust that the protection of such will be recognized. All right, so we have Brian Hurley, one of the residents. He's planting his tree now, as well as the parish ambassadors. They're doing likewise. Well, this brings an end to the tree planting exercise. All that is left now for me to do is to say a special thanks to all participants. Remember, this is yours. So you're welcome to come back to Botanical Gardens. I trust that you have captured the exact placement of your planting. Come back and bring your friends and say, look, this is mine. I planted this. All right? Not just come back and show off to your friends, but come back and maintain. So thank you so much for all that you've done. I want again to recognize those who participated in the tree planting exercise. Minister Adrian Ford, Senator Rudy Grant, Chairman of the NCC, General Manager Acton, Ryan Alls. We also had the awardees, Blackman, Ina Harvey, Jeff Chandler, Nigel Jones, Ann Ruther, Kenny Ward, but Kenny's not here, Sandra Weeks. We also recognize our students, Maria Marshall and Noah Jordan, sorry. Reverend Kevin Hunt, he had to leave us, but he also was invited to participate. Keith Holder, Chief Officer, Mr. Brian Hurley, Resident Shirlene Gill, the Parish Ambassador for St. Michael, and Resident Mr. Arthur. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, in the refreshment area, I invite you to just go over there and refresh yourselves. Do participate in the rest of the activities as we celebrate Arbor Day. And for those of you who can, also participate in the virtual tree planting competition. You can upload your photos to weplanting.org, and who knows, you may very well be a winner. Thank you so very much. Do have a wonderful day.
Happy Arbor Day, the day we celebrate trees. After all, trees save lives. Don't believe me? Look, what started as just a day to plant trees in 1872 by journalist Julius Morton has grown into a full celebration of trees. And why should we love them so much? Not only do trees provide shade and beautiful landscapes, but trees absorb carbon dioxide and change it into life-sustaining oxygen. There are so many other benefits. Most we take for granted. Let's look at a few. Where would we be without jams, jellies, juices, pies, dips, syrups, and of course the many fruits that trees provide? Not to mention, trees used for medicine. Think of it. Without trees, our world would literally die. Water would be scarce and unusable. Air would be polluted. Temperatures would be unbearable. And there would be no food for us or for the animals to eat if there were no trees. So what can we do to celebrate trees and Arbor Day? Easy. Plant a tree. Where? Anywhere you have permission. Schools, offices, churches, in your community. Now you have a good idea how trees save lives. Do your part on Arbor Day to celebrate them. Keep Barbados clean and green.
Trees save lives. So why not take part in this life-sustaining competition for Arbor Day? The National Conservation Commission encourages individuals, landowners, service clubs, churches, schools, government departments, and corporate Barbados to plant trees during the month of September. The first prize for the individual group or entity that plants the most trees is $7,000. The second prize is $2,000 and the third prize is $1,000. To take part, submit a creative video of the tree planting process to the National Conservation Commission via Instagram and Facebook at the handle @NCC Barbados. The deadline for submissions is Sunday, October 10th. For more information, contact the NCC's Marketing Department at 536-0662 or 536-0663, or send questions via Instagram or Facebook. So, let's go and plant some trees.